Buongiorno, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Your resident dark dimensional representative, Ned Spotus, at your service. I just realized something. I realized that even though I love Family Guy is probably one of the funniest shows on television ever, right next to South Park and Beavis and Butthead, my three favorite animated shows of all time. Very different styles, non-comparative, but all three are epic. I like The Simpsons, but I don't know. It just, I think Family Guy at its worst is better than The Simpsons at its best. I'm sorry to say. I can't fucking wait for the new Beavis and Butthead show to happen too. I mean, that was awesome news that Mike Judge is actually going to produce brand new episodes with new videos and all that stuff. It's gonna be great. Although it probably will only be on MTV, I'm guessing, but who knows. Oh, but of course, I mean, but I'm not gonna get cable just to watch it. I'll have other people who have cable record it for me. So, anyway, I realized that watching Family Guy, and because Seth MacFarlane he's pretty much the same age as I am, so I get a lot of the jokes. I think in a deeper way because we're the same age, because a lot of the cultural references and, I mean, not the cultural references that he uses that were, important during my lifetime, as far as, like, say, what he uses Back to the Future homages or stuff like that. But moreover, it's the lampooning of the things that we observe and the very tongue-in-cheek humor that he uses to show how ridiculous a lot of the things in the world over the time that we observe, And I realized there was something that happened on there, and I don't know if he was directly trying to make fun of the cultural point. I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for is. But the phrase, I know, right? Evidently, that phrase is and I went to research it, okay? And evidently, it's not the type of phrase that I thought it was. But because of the way that Peter Griffin uses it on the show one time, it took on a whole different tone for me. Because I think ultimately he was making, I think he might have been making fun of it, but because when I went to go research it, it didn't have the connotation I thought it had. Evidently, I know right is a basically benevolent, frenzy kind of phrase. But the way that they use it on Family Guy, and any time I've heard it since then, actually I haven't heard it said to me. Well, I take that back. I have heard it said to me, and I think all the time that I've heard it said, it sounded in a similar tone to the way that Peter Griffin used it. And that tone was condescending. The episode where they get trapped up in their safe house box, and it starts to flood, and I think it was Meg that just exclaimed, "Oh my God!" And Peter Griffin goes, "I know, about the water, right?" So to me, the phrase took on a very different connotation. it seemed to me, from the few times it's been said to me, either by verbiage or by in text as a response, it always had seemed, I think that in my mind, it always had a very condescending tone. And the reason it had a condescending tone, because Peter Griffin said it in a way where it's condescending because it seems like Meg saying it was, or her referring to the water flooding, it's like it was obvious. So it's like, yeah, and what research I did garner, I did find out that a lot of times they're responding to it because they were already thinking it. So it was like, it's not because you were already thinking it, why to me it's condescending. It's because it's obvious. It's because what you said was obvious. But me saying, I know, right? It sounds like it's a condescending way of me having, or me acknowledging you have an epiphany, but it doesn't deserve that epiphany status because it's obvious. Yet, when people say something, it's being colloquial, or even if it's obvious, it's like you're just acknowledging it as a person. But I think in our time and age, in our information-soaked age, where we know where a lot of times we know everything, and we know there's no room for personal acknowledgement and emotion attached to that, even if it is obvious. Means if I go outside and the sun is shining, and especially in the wintertime, and sun's shining and it's warmer, and I say, boy, sure is a nice day, and the person goes, I know, right? It's like, to me that sound, it's like, I expect a person to go, yep, it sure is. Now, even though it is a bit folksy, but I seem to find a lot of times, even when I'm trying to be kind of casual and I'm trying to be not so technical because of my Asperger's syndrome and being the way that I am, I always find out that I try to be a little more just kind of touchy-feely, or just kind of social in a general sense. It seems like there's always some jackass that comes by and basically disrupts what people always have been trying to encourage me to do. There's always that one jackass who basically starts to make me think, or at least attempts. I've been much better at not being swayed back as I used to be because of something that happened there, like that. But yeah, there is always one asshole that kind of does that, or says that one thing that could have done that in the old days. But, and yeah, the I know right statement has been kind of I guess amongst certain circles, it's just an annoying statement, but I never dreamed that it was actually not a condescending term, nor did I think it was a newer phrase. But my general impression is that it was a condescending remark, as a way to depower the impact of your benevolent attempt at acknowledging something, even though it was obvious, because to me it just sounds like, okay, that was really stupid for you. Basically, I know right. I know right. It's to me, it's basically saying, okay, you're a dumbass from even mentioning the fact that that which was obvious in front of us even needed to be acknowledged. That's basically what that statement had been communicating to me. I don't know, there's probably a ton of other phrases out there. I think that's the first one, though, that I basically misinterpreted it, but it still has that connotation, and every time somebody says that, I think they're, like I said, they think they're insulting me. But evidently I must be wrong, because from what I did research, there was people. What it actually is supposed to mean is that I was thinking the same thing, and you said it, but there it actually has the opposite effect. It actually has the opposite meaning from what I was gathering from it. So it yeah, it's I'll have to gather some other things around that other people have indicated, but I will say that watching Family Guy, Family Guy has kind of done that, in which he's kind of shaped a lot of opinions and in the way that he does things. There's probably a ton more, so I will chat with you later, folks.